Well, happy Memorial Day, everyone. Low libido. I mean, we don't talk about this because this is still a taboo and we don't want to openly talk about that someone has low libido versus high libido. But hey, we want to bring everything out and open for women going through perimenopause. That is one of the unfortunately symptom. And we are going to talk about with Dr. Satcher. She is with me, a board certified MD focusing on anti-aging, and she herself reversed her issues, the tumor issues using food as medicine. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great. So let's just talk about why does it happen, the low libido as part of the perimenopause, menopause. And then we want to talk about, is it important for women to continue to have a strong libido or it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, so we see people having problems with their libido during menopause and perimenopause because the hormones are kind of like on an up and down thing that's going on while they're experiencing symptoms. After a few years, and once you get into menopause, it will tend to decrease. However, the hormones have settled off in a lower level by then. So the hormones that affect libido are usually lower. And also, people tend to have some systemic inflammation going on during perimenopause and menopause. And chronic and systemic inflammation will also decrease libido. And libido is complex. It's not just hormones. We actually don't know all the components of libido. But there are neurotransmitters involved, and there are other hormones that may not be directly related, or we don't know how they're related to menopause, like oxytocin. So we have to help educate people. That's a big thing, because there are things that they can do when they're getting into, especially women, when they're getting into their 40s, even before menopause starts. They can start improving their lifestyle to try to decrease or lessen some of the symptoms that they'll have in menopause.
Okay, so now I'd like you to talk a little bit about if a woman is having a normal libido or a strong libido and, sexual wellness in this particular case that we're talking about, how is it important for women from an anti-aging point of view, for any mental health point of view, for anything else point of view?
Yes, so it's great if they have strong libido. I would say if they feel that their libido is overwhelming, that may be a sign that there's some kind of imbalance. So they should get that checked out. But as long as they're paired up with a partner or someone that they care about, and they can meet each other's needs, it's a great thing for anti-aging, because orgasms and the changes in the hormones that lead up to orgasm are very beneficial to the brain, and they're beneficial to the heart, they're beneficial to the body. I mentioned oxytocin before, that's kind of the happy hormone. And we believe that some of that gets released in orgasm. Also, I found out from working with an organization that focuses on orgasmic meditation, which is very different. Orgasmic meditation, they found in their research of looking at the functional MRIs of the brain, that the orgasms, especially like practicing the orgasmic meditation, was having similar benefits to meditation, and it was helping in anti-aging aspects of the brain. You saw less shrinking of the brain, better circulation in certain areas of the brain that have to do with emotional wellness and happiness. So there are a lot of benefits to having orgasm, or the progression of what the body goes through going up to orgasm.
Okay, so you brought a very interesting thing on orgasmic. Orgasm is very healthy for women, and meditation. So what you're saying is, if someone learns how to do meditation in a certain way, they will have orgasms. Is that what you're saying, without engaging in with the partner? Can you clarify a little bit, and what does that involve? Because I think a lot of women will be interested to know about this.
So a lot of women might be familiar with, like, say, for instance, Kundalini yoga. They might be familiar with Tantra, or maybe they've heard of Tantra, but they don't really understand what's going on. So both of those methods, in addition to orgasmic meditation, are teaching you ways to increase the energy flow in your body in the area that has to do with sexuality. Especially like down in the groin and where the ovaries and the uterus are. So orgasmic meditation is using some of those principles, but the main concept is that the woman is being stroked. Now they have a method for men too, but we're not focusing on that. We're just going to talk about the women, but they are being stroked on, the clitoris, on the part of the sexual organ that we know from research now, that is where the orgasm is usually centered, as opposed to, in research in the past, they said it was the G spot. That can happen too, but it's more focused on the clitoris. And it enables women to go through that orgasmic cycle without actually having sexual intercourse. So yes, the stroking could be done by a partner. That would be ideal if they would learn how to do it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and that could be very beneficial because of what I talked about before, the changes in the brain, and that's beneficial to anti-aging. Like, the brain is really what we're focusing on, brain, and what I do right now in terms of trying to prevent dementia. A lot of people have imbalances of the hormones because of imbalances in their nutrition, and that those imbalances in nutrition are causing inflammation that's causing shrinkage of the brain over time. Mm-hmm.
That's actually very alarming, because if you look at the statistics, women live longer than men. And then if you see an older women, they kind of shrink, right? And you
Right.
wonder what happened. Bones are brittle and then shrink. So all these, not only the libido part of it, but then the hormonal imbalance part of it, I'm assuming, right, to your point.
Affecting everything. Yes, it's affecting everything.
Yes.
So, mm-hmm.
Okay, well, this is a quick 10-minute session that we bring on a daily basis. This is not a medical advice just because we have MD here. I don't want people to start thinking, but this is a practical knowledge that Dr. Satcher, we wanted to discuss this topic, especially from a medical point of view as well, not as a funny point of view or anything like that. Anything else you'd like to say? I know we have so many other topics that we bring, culturally, ethnic disparities, health disparities in women, especially in menopause. We have so many things that Black women, African women experience menopause in a different way than the Caucasian women or Asian women. So that is a topic also which is very near and dear to both of us. But if you want to say something, please say the closing remarks before we wrap up.
Okay. Yes, this was quick. But I have done a lot of study myself on the health disparities, especially in menopause. And I had mentioned how it relates to weight loss, which is very important to, I would say, women are concerned about losing fat and having a normal body composition because that affects the rest of their health. But Black women have disparities across the board in all diseases, including in perimenopause and menopause, in that we typically get it earlier. And what we know from functional medicine is that stress can bring it on earlier because that's causing systemic inflammation. Stress can also be affecting the sleep duration, and shorter sleep duration can cause weight gain and weight loss resistance. And it can cause problems with severe menopausal symptoms like more hot flashes. And a lot of this is unconscious, like they're undergoing racialized stress. They may have ancestral stress as well. And that can manifest in sleep, in the subconscious. So it may not be something that they're consciously thinking about. Mhm.
Well, on that note, I would say stay away from Florida because the governor of Florida is definitely causing this racial stress to everyone. And I think I'm going to do a post on that, you know, what you just said, that how Florida is causing stress on everyone in this country. So thank you so much for joining me. Really an enjoyable and very insightful and knowledgeable session from you. Any last words? You want to share your website? You're welcome to do that. Anything else you want to share?
So I would invite people to go to my website at treatyourselftohealth.com and put /schedule, and they can have a free consultation or they can pay for a short visit.
Thank you. And have everyone have a great Memorial Day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.